Hello and welcome to my evaluation video for my Wolfenstein project. As the name suggests, this project is based on the Wolfenstein franchise, with my professional inspiration being Jim Kozelin. Jim Kozelin is the CTO at Machine Games and has been for the entirety of the modern Wolfenstein franchise's development. My inspiration for this project is primarily from Wolfenstein: The New Order, but there are some elements from Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, most notably the zombies. This area is sort of a hub world, with a variety of resources available and infinitely spawning zombies. This is a good environment for the player to be introduced to the variety of item pickups available in the game. Here we have an example of each item pickup. The helmet gives 5 armor, the dog food 5 health, the medkit's 50 health, and the ammo crate 45 rifle ammo, or 1 magazine. Picking up a weapon for the first time will equip it and give the player a full magazine. Subsequent pickups of the same weapon gives a random number of ammo in the range 15 to 30 for the rifle and 10 to 15 for the pistol. In the Wolfenstein games, health can be overcharged, allowing the player to have as much health as they can find pickups for. Any health over the current maximum, however, is lost at a rate of 2 per second. As part of my experimentation with the franchise, I have added a health bar. In Wolfenstein, health and armor are only represented numerically at the bottom center of the screen, which I have also implemented. The health bar can extend outside its normal bounds as required by the overcharge, and will continue across the screen for as long as the player has health. Armor cannot be overcharged, but acts as a barrier between damage and the player's health. It does not act as a completely separate health bar, however, as 1 to 4 damage taken by the player will ignore armor and go straight to health. If the damage to be taken by the armor is greater than the armor present, the remaining damage will be done to health. The player can walk, crouch, sprint, and jump, each action having an accompanying animation, and, when walking or crouching, the player is able to aim down sights like so. When the player aims down sight, the active camera is changed from one in the player character's head to one positioned along the rail of the weapon they are using. When a round is fired, a projectile effect is spawned at the muzzle of the gun and on the object the round hit. As well as this, a projectile is fired from the gun to give the effect of the bullet's travel. All of the sound effects, aside from those made by the zombies, are recorded directly from Wolfenstein, and to add variety to the soundscape, the firing sound effects, as well as the zombie detect player and zombie hit player sounds, have a randomized pitch. This means that different instances of the same sound effects sound different, and the zombies can sound like different people. This is all without having to source a large pool of sound effects. My particular interest with this project was the stealth elements. Those in the Wolfenstein games are relatively simple and binary. If the player is seen, or a body is detected, or a gunshot is heard, all enemies know the whereabouts of the player. I have endeavoured to emulate and improve upon this slightly in my project. The zombies can detect the player in 3 ways: seeing them, hearing them, and the player being too close. Being too close means that the player has entered the zombie's melee range. Seeing the player will cause the zombie to follow the player and attempt to attack them until either is killed. Crouching reduces the view distance of the zombies to try and simulate reduced sight when hiding. The player creates sounds audible to the zombies when sprinting, jumping, or firing the unsilenced rifle. Hearing any of these sounds will cause the zombie to travel to the location the sound originated from. If the zombie sees the player, it will begin to follow them as before, but if the zombie reaches the origin of the sound without detecting the player, it will return to its default movement state. Zombies will also alert those around them when they see the player. They emit a noise similar to that the player does, which will cause any zombies in range to travel to their position. The zombies do not differentiate between sounds made by other zombies seeing the player or sounds made directly by the player. When the player enters the zombie's melee range, the zombie immediately begins their attack animation. To balance this, damage is dealt to the player a few moments after the animation begins, and the zombie checks that the player is still in range, and the zombie itself is still alive, before dealing any damage. The default zombie, or zombie master, starts the game by travelling between different randomly selected positions on the nav mesh. I have created children of this zombie that inherit most of its functions, but also implement functionality of their own, such as the wait zombie that stays in its position until it is alerted to the player in some way, or its movement is activated by an external blueprint. There is a path zombie that travels along a path of game objects set out in the editor, and there is a dropper zombie that is used by the droppers in the hub world. This zombie waits to hit the ground before trying to stand up and begin walking. I gave the zombie model a physics body so they can ragdoll upon death and when falling from the sky. This involves tuning the size and diameter of the capsules that make up the physics body and tailoring the position, rotation range, and twist ability of the connection between different bones on the zombie. Headshots will kill a zombie instantly, but it takes 2 body shots from the pistol and 5 from the rifle to kill them otherwise. When a zombie dies, it will always drop its helmet, which the player can pick up for 5 armor, and if the player is below 15 total ammo, the zombie will drop a pistol pickup, which will give a random value of pistol ammo, as from the range mentioned earlier. The 2 levels represent the 2 sides of Wolfenstein gameplay. The first is a slow and quiet stealth mission, where the player only has access to the pistol, and the second is a loud and hectic gunfight, with multiple zombies that immediately know the position of the player, and multiple positions of health and ammo to continue the fight.